Hi, you all. This is Kathy's tank update, January 12th, 2016. You're looking at the mother Kenya tree coral, also called cauliflower soft coral. It is of the genus Capnella, and it's a very basic coral used for beginners. Placement is high. It's hardy. It's easy to propagate. It does grow very quickly. Here is the mother plant, and all you have to do is pinch off your branch, and you make droppings. These are the ones that I pinched off, and all these are the additional baby plants from that initial mother plant. The Kenya tree is a standard soft coral. The finger or leather coral is also very hardy, at least in my tank. I believe it's the green Nephthia tree. It is very hardy near the top of the tank, has long flexible fingers here, which I haven't not tried to break off, but I believe it'd be easy to propagate also, except that it does have toxins the leathers release called terpenoids, which could be dangerous to the LPSs. This is the finger coral that needs medium to high light, and it's at the top of the tank. That's the water line. It also needs a medium to strong water current. With additions of iodine, strontium, and trace elements, most of its nutrition it receives through filter feeding, which I give microplankton, the baby brine shrimp, which you see in the right now in the tank, which the fish are feeding from. This little guy here is a xenia, which just about is ready to give up the ghost in this tank. It's lost its battle, but I also had a devil's hand that died also not too long ago. I'm not sure why the xenia doesn't like this water here. It's possibly because the water is not dirty enough, although I do feed the fish a lot. But this is the pulsing waving hand xenia. As you can see, it still is pulsating, but most of it has showed up and died. The xenia likes moderate to high light and movement and needs iodine and trace elements. I have mostly soft corals in this tank, which now we're looking at the toadstool next, which is right here. The toadstool, saprophyton, consists of a stalk, a thick, heavy stalk underneath, and then on top is your cap, where you can see has all the little polyps on top. The toadstool has a medium to strong current also, and likes to have medium to high light. It likes the addition of iodine, and strontium, and trace. And the capitulum, this green area, the polyps do glow with the actinic lights. Then below here I have a hairy mushroom. This one is a sole survivor. I had 3, but the other 2 died. I think they just didn't get enough light. It has a hairy appearance, which is also called disc anemone. This green also lights up in actinic lights. In the middle center being where it can take some brine through its mouth, but it eats plankton also, and has the symbiotic relationship with zooxanthellae, which is hosted in its body, and this is very easy to grow in a beginner's tank. Then we go to the green star polyps, which also have grown very nicely in this tank. The green star polyps here have a center which is white, and they like medium to high light, medium to high flow. They like the iodine and the trace elements also. And you can feed it microplankton. It's designed for filter feeding. it has a purple encrusting base which grows over the rocks, and 8 tentacles at least. I don't know if it's just 8. We'd have to count each white discus. If there's 8 tentacles coming off, I believe it is 8 tentacles that retract when it is threatened, or also when I do feed it. I target feed the microplankton. Use also, besides zooplankton, phytoplankton, zooplankton, and this one has another branch that has broken off from this and is located behind here. Those are your star polyps. The green striped mushroom is a lone survivor. I did have several others here beside the star polyps. This is your green striped mushroom. It's hanging in there, but I think the green star polyps may be sending out nematocyst and stinging it. I'm not quite sure why my green striped mushroom isn't doing too well. Ctenodiscus mushroom, the disc anemones. You can see the little tiny disc in the middle, and the white and the green stripes on the sides. Likes medium light, low to medium water flow, and also has a symbiotic relationship with the zooxanthellae, which provide nutrition through photosynthesis. Let's move to the daisy polyps, which are, we have 2 bunches of those. The daisy polyps, Clavularia, clove polyps, also have 8 tentacles if you counted them, and they have the tubular branches with the daisies at the end of each branch. And these have an encrusting. You can see where they are growing along a string here, and then they drop off. And they have been dropping, those buds have been dropping off, which I believe is how it propagates. It goes along a chain. This is the other daisy polyp right here. And they have an orangish glow under actinic lights. The daisy polyps need iodine and trace elements, moderate water movement, and moderate light. They have zooxanthellae also, which, is working with a symbiotic relationship with the light through photosynthesis, and supplies most of its nutrition, but also would like, as all the other, would like some feedings of micro plankton, some filter feeding. While we're here, we'll go over to this guy here, which is the hammer or the anchor coral. It's an LPS, which is a large stony polyp. And as you can see, the hammer coral, the anchor coral, Euphyllia, as it can be referred to, its species, has tentacles that glow under actinic light. This guy is growing. He's prospering very well in here with additives of calcium and strontium and trace. They say these guys are difficult to maintain. I'm not sure if it's because of feeding or because of the stinging ability. He stings neighboring corals up to 6 inches all around him. That's why I have him isolated here on a ledge. And you can see when I feed him that he does have nematocysts, or like a mucus that comes out up to 6 to 7 inches from the main body, and that serves to, the sweeper tentacles serve to sting other species around about him to give him space. And he also likes target feeding with the microplankton and brine shrimp. Beside him is the Duncan here. The Duncan coral is also a LPS, or a large stony polyp, and has a disc, central disc. As you can see, it's closed right now. When I feed them through target feeding with a turkey baster, Feed them the zooplax, the zooplankton, the microplankton. When I do feed this guy, those little discs open up. And the Duncan likes low current, low to moderate light. He also feeds through the zooanthellae. And, he also benefits from regular target feeding of the meaty marine foods such as mysis shrimp or brine shrimp. So he benefits from calcium, strontium, and trace elements, as do the torch coral here. This one, I'm trying to get it in focus here. There he is. The torch coral, Euphyllia, also a large polyp stony, often called the trumpet coral or the pom-pom coral. They say these guys are difficult to maintain long-term. They will thrive under excellent water conditions, and they need a moderate light and a moderate movement. Also calcium and strontium, trace elements, and I do target feed them also with the zooplankton, microplankton, with turkey-baster like twice a week. The torch coral. And then this other large stony polyp is Goniopora. We have this greenish hue, Goniopora, also called the flower pot, and the name refers to the appearance of the polyps. This one, the polyps haven't extended so much; they're more short-stemmed. Over here is a neighboring Goniopora, who has more of a yellowish beige glow. Under actinic light, those tubes all show up yellow. Flower pot is, from its appearance, it looks like a bouquet of flowers, and they say it requires perfect water conditions. So I do have 3 fluval filters. One's very small, 206. I have a 406 and a 305. And with all that filtration plus special carbon changing out, I do keep the water pretty clean. And I also have a protein skimmer, which serves also to rid of extra nitrogenous waste left over from feeding the fish. And we have quite a few fish here, so I do feed them brine shrimp and other mysis shrimp and such, which does dirty the water. That's why you can see the live rock is filled with algae. So the Goniopora seems to require also some feedings, target feeding, with phytoplankton and brine shrimp, and has a symbiotic relationship also with the zooanthellae hosted within its body, which provides the majority of the nutrition requirements from photosynthesis. Don't want to miss this guy. He's one of my favorite, the Ricordia. And they say that it's called the Ricordia, let's see if I can get a mushroom. He has a baby, actually 2. He has proliferated this little guy here, and above him, that one, and then that's the mother Ricordia. The Ricordia have a glow, especially the center discus has which you can't, I'm trying to focus it, but you can't see it right now. Under actinic light, the center disc, the oral disc, is a neon green color under the fluorescent actinic light, which means it hosts the zooanthellae also, and that, in its body, providing for the majority of the nutritional requirements through photosynthesis. So, looks like the Ricordia is proliferating on its own. I've done nothing to encourage that. So, that's basically all the corals here. I don't know if I missed any. As you can see, I'm going to step out, and you can get a picture then of the full tank. There are some dartfish here, a couple hanging out here in the corner. Dartfish, or they're also called firefish gobies. They are docile, timid, and stress very easily. and dart back into their hiding spots. These guys have a hiding spot right there in the corner, and probably if I get the camera too close, they will hide. But this is a peaceful tank. Every creature in here is peaceful. Clownfish is a little aggressive. If I put another clownfish in there, he kills it, chases it to its death. But alone, he's fine. There are 6 pajama cardinals. The pajama cardinals are a mid-tank passive creature. And the dragonet, which some people call a Scooter Blenny, but I just lost sight of him. He was here a second ago. He also is very passive. Scooter Blenny. He's not really a Blenny. He's called a dragonet. And he scoots along on the rocks looking for leftover food. Not really a pushy creature. There's engineer gobies here on the bottom who have a caving tendency. They make little caverns and they hide in them. And they peek out waiting for the food to come. There is one in there peeking out, but very hard to see. The bottom is also the home of the feather duster. This guy, they call him Worms. Hawaiian feather duster. See the crown on top? That's a feeding device. It filters out the small floating organisms and directs it towards its mouth, which you can see in the center here of its crown. And it protects itself by secreting a parchment substance that forms the tube to cover itself, and that I have buried in the substrate. If it disturbed, it quickly retracts its feathers into the tube. It's dependent on plankton for its diet, and I feed it zooplankton and microplankton, the liquid target feeding. Tube worm from the Sabellidae family. And we have a bunch of Nasarius snails that now have eaten and have gone back underneath the substrate. The Nasarius snails are my cleanup crew. They like to burrow in the sand, and usually they have a long tube-like siphon protruding through the sand and detects when there's movement or food, and then they unbury themselves from the substrate and come out seeking food. I just fed it some silversides. I had fed the green serpent star earlier some silversides, and he's just hanging out here. His mouth is on the opposite side in the central area. The 5 arms that are filled with those prickly little spines help catch the food and direct it towards the mouth, located in the center. And he eats whole and then digests. His stomach's inside there, and then he will digest. And he's been a good guy. He's totally reef safe. Doesn't eat any of the corals, as would the chocolate chip star. So he hangs out at different spots in the tank. So that's about it, and that's the update for now. Most of these, just to let you know, most of these organisms have been bred in captivity, so we're not stealing from the coral reefs, and we will keep you updated in the future. I had the fans off for now because it takes better picture taking, but I mean the movements of the water is still now. I'm about ready to turn the filters back on so that they can continue to filter feed. Thank you very much.